Hearing is happening right now. Try to stop hearing. Hearing is just happening. What about feeling right now? There's the feeling of and through the body. It's like, I feel. So stop feeling. If you're in control of it, stop feeling, just for a moment. The food, right now, the food is being digested. Do you have to do that? Of course not. It just happens. You can't stop it happening. You can't pause it. Even seeing, even with the eyes closed, seeing is still happening. You're just seeing the eyelids. I see. So stop seeing. Maybe even open your eyes. So the world appears. Now, if you're in control, stop seeing. Seeing just happens. We believe there's a little me, a little I, a mini me, that's doing all this. It's a belief. I am aware. That's what it feels like. So stop being aware. Everything we've just explored there is just happening. There is seeing without a seer. That's the truth of it. There is feeling without a feeler. There's hearing without a hearer. What about thinking? There's an interesting one. I think my thoughts. These thoughts belong to me. They're mine. I think. So let's make a promise to ourselves right now that we're not going to think any thought for the next 3 minutes. Go ahead. I'm not going to think for the next 3 minutes because I'm in control. In 30 seconds, you probably started to think. Thinking is probably happening. Okay, so let's relax this practice, guys. So feel free to unmute yourselves, guys. If there are any questions or comments, observations. What we're doing here is looking at the greatest assumption that there is. And this assumption is the cause of all human suffering. Not pain. Animals without this me, ego, they still experience pain. Pain's different. And this is what all the traditions are pointing to. To that which you are, which never leaves. It's what we're looking for. We already are what we are looking for. But this can't be it. It must have golden wings, or it must be singing hallelujah. It can't be stepping in dog shit in the garden. That can't be it. When we come into this world, we come in free. We don't have, hello Lorraine, you've come into a really weird group here. We are born free. Our needs are few. If we want something, we cry and we get it, hopefully. And so we let the world, our mother, primarily then, that something is needed on a practical level. We need food and a bit of warmth and love and whatever. But the world is just, there's just a oneness. Let's call it a oneness. And what happens, and psychologists have done tests here. What happens at about the age of 2, 2.5, 3, is that we start to get a sense of me, of self, as separate from the world. The world starts to move out there, and I start to move in here. Then this world has to be managed. It has to be negotiated. Some parts of the world are threatening, and some parts of the world are very attractive. So we want some, we don't want other parts of the world. I'm talking psychologically here, not physically. And then we develop what I call a self-image, which exists in the head. Doesn't, but we could say it exists in the head. And then our life becomes a matter of maintaining and reinforcing this self-image. And anything that threatens it is banished. And we want things that shore it up and make this self-image feel good. And that's where it all goes wrong. And it's this sense of me that's separate from the world, me that lives in here somehow. It's like we live in a room with the curtains drawn. That's the image that came to me recently. We live in this room with the curtains drawn. We don't really see the world. We see the curtains when we look towards the windows. And the curtains are made of concepts and beliefs. Let me change the metaphor slightly. In Buddhism, we call it the veil of thoughts. What we see the world through a veil of thoughts. It's a veil over our eyes, the veil of separation. And every human being, it appears that this is the case. This happens to every human being. But depending on the individual, some veils are quite thin, others are quite dense. And when you come to something like this, there's a sensitivity to something else. There's something. We know that this veil isn't the whole story. We know there's something beyond these curtains. And what we're doing here is observing as we're investigating the curtains and just opening them. And we want to close them because the light's too bright. We've been in this dark room for so long. We open them. Whoa, don't know about that. Freedom, you can get, like, give me my prison. Where's my curtains? Where's my views, my beliefs? Where are they? Oh, that's better. That's what we do. We keep ourselves imprisoned because it's become so familiar, and we have a sense of our own self-importance. Myself as separate from the world. I'm an individual, and guys, it's a load of crap. We've not investigated it. We've not looked at it. Like the rest of humanity, we've just assumed it. And it's an assumption we don't investigate. And I'm not asking you to believe anything. There's nothing you have to believe. I want you to look. That's all I do. I just look. well, okay, let me just investigate this. Let me examine it. Let me meditate on this. Let me explore it. What is really happening? And those curtains, how we open them is through what we've just been doing, but also the slightly different ways of doing it. Meditating with the senses. The senses are our windows to the world. But what we've done, what the belief in this little me, this little mini me does, that sits in the head somewhere or somewhere in the middle, somewhere, you know, and we're going to actually have a look at that. We're going to actually look, where is me? Where am I? I say me, but what the hell is that me? Me? What's it referring to? We've seen now that it doesn't refer to the body because the body belongs to me. The body's mine. It's my body. And the thinking mind can't get you there. It can't get you there. And beyond these curtains, when we start to reveal what's beyond the curtains, what is revealed is peace. For want of a better term, just one term, it's freedom. The curtains here are not open all the time. They do close and I get caught up, but they're open more than they used to be. And there's more peace, stability, freedom, carefreeness, carefree. Imagine living a life that's fucking carefree. Not careless, but carefree. Just carefree. And what it also reveals, now, I always get a bit nervous when I talk about this.
Sounds good.
It reveals that which is not born and doesn't die. And we're going to have a look at that, if you'll allow me the privilege. Because I think we all know this, we all sense something here, that we sense something. The body dies and we're not, yeah, it grows old and gets all rickety and stiff and it does that. But the body isn't who we are. We've already said it belongs to me. It's something further back, as it were. Any questions, comments, guys?
Can you hear me?
I think it's my end, Sharon. Give me a sec. Try now.
Okay. The thing I really can't seem to get is I get that we're not in control of our bodily functions, our hair growing, whatever, but we do make decisions.
Mm-hmm. No, you don't.
Coffee.
You've never made a decision in your life, Sharon.
It does seem like it at work sometimes.
Ah, now the word seem. Now, you need to investigate it. I'm not saying decisions are not made. They are. But
Yeah.
who makes them? Or what makes them? Now, you were on the show the other day. And I mentioned very recently, and we're going to look at our own experience here, but I just want to share this with you. There's been a scientific experiment on. It's on YouTube. It's well known.
I've seen it when you shared it, yes.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
And what it revealed for the rest of us, what he did, this guy had to make a decision, and he had electrodes on. And when he made the decision, or he's conscious he pressed that button, the decision had already been made up to 6 seconds earlier. He wasn't conscious of it. He had no idea that existed.
Yeah. So what decided?
Exactly. And then a few seconds later, he believed that I chose that. I decided to press that button.
Yeah.
I'm not saying decisions are not made, and they're not made on a basis of preference. They are. But there isn't a little me inside making them. That is what we believe.
So something decides what I want to wear today. Yeah.
It's just decided.
Yeah.
It's how we have a natural intelligence. It runs the universe. It beats your heart. It gave you blue eyes. It gave you a beautiful smile. That natural intelligence lives our life. But at the age of 2, 3, popped in this me idea. It wasn't there before then.
Yeah.
Are you with me? So
it's starting to get there.
Yeah. The thinking mind won't get you there, Sharon. It takes you so far.
Yeah, mine's rubbish.
No, it isn't. That's just another view.
Yeah.
You got a beautiful mind, Sharon. There's nothing wrong with your mind. It works in a particular way. Your mind is similar to mine. I've got a very, if you don't mind, I have a very simple mind. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
It's like the image I used the other day was one of, let's say you decide to go to the forest for a day out.
Yeah.
The mind, the thinking mind, will get you there. You go up the A50, you turn right at the roundabout, you go up the motorway, you got the car park, and you put your money in. So the mind is useful, it gets you there.
Yeah.
But when you go into the forest, to appreciate the forest, what does the mind do? You don't need it. The senses take over. I'll come back to that, Paul. Hearing the birds and the wind and the hush, the smell of the trees and the grass and whatever, and the sights, just the feeling of the forest. None of that's thought. Thinking is just another sense. In Buddhism, we call it the sixth sense. But this sense of me is kept and maintained by our self-centered thinking. See, 80% of our thinking is about who? Me. Even if it's about somebody else in relation to me.
Yeah.
Do they like me? Am I acceptable? So we're all self-obsessed. We're me obsessed. We're obsessed with me. And it creates so much suffering. And we know that. We know that. And this guy who did the experiment, it actually, I wouldn't say it disturbed him, but it wasn't far from being disturbed by it. I had no idea that the decisions were made and I became conscious of them up to 6 seconds later. See, I'm doing that. I'm raising my hand. That's what it feels like, isn't it? It's so convincing. Yes, Paul, I will. If you haven't got it in a day to remind me, but because I tend to, when I get out of it, I tend to sort of go all.
Hi. Sorry. You just going back to what you said about decisions. So that's why we say there are no wrong decisions, because it's all just part of life's experience. Yeah.
You know, this body and mind and being can learn things and learn from those decisions. There's nothing, but there's no me inside learning. There's learning. Learning's happening. This is what Buddhism's called. What I'm introducing here, guys, is the Buddhism's concept of enlightenment. It sounds big, doesn't it? Or I prefer the word awakening. We awaken to who we really are. That's what happens. We awaken to, and I know people here have had an experience of this on retreats in Spain, things of something. Whoa. There's something going on here. But through habit, see, it can close down again. So we keep investigating, and we work through the habit of meing, selfing, closing down. We open the curtains a little and they close, and we keep. And at some point we become comfortable. Wow. It's like, what's happened? What this belief in this me does, this I, this sense of separation, a separate self, what it does, as that begins to take hold, it's like we get cotton wool, we shove it up our nose so we can't smell so well. We get cotton wool buds and we stick them in our ears so we don't hear so well. We put a veil over our eyes so we don't see very well. We put cling film around our body so we don't feel so alive. You getting the picture? So we don't feel so alive to the world. Because it's all filtered through this me. And this me can only function on one thing at a time. So awakening is like all the senses exploding into being, every moment. And there's what my favorite teacher, Joko Beck, talks about. That's the wonder of life. It's already here. It's not somewhere else. And that, you can use slightly different terms for it. That is what we're all seeking for. If we're honest, that's what we're seeking for. We want peace. We want freedom. We want unconditional love. We want whatever it is. I don't mean from another person. It just is. Anything else? It is, Carrie, you're right. It is. Because there's nothing to achieve. It's not, you don't have to become worthy for this. It's what you already are. It's not the end of a path. That's what I believed for years, that I had to work very hard, I had to purify myself, I had to become almost perfect, and then I would somehow open into this loveliness. I'd be worthy. That's often what you saw through a particular type of religion. But the essence of those religions are all pointing to this. But the human mind gets hold of them and makes them into a path and makes them into, you're not good enough. You're not good enough yet. You know, we take on these beliefs, these attitudes and behaviors. And once my teacher said to me, meditation is actually anarchy. I thought, what does he mean? You know? And he says, it's really overturning the most basic and primal thing, the way we see the world, the way we behave in the world. I don't mean we'll behave irresponsibly. That's not it. It's not like that. But he said to us once, he said, when did you decide to feel guilty for being alive? When did you begin, or when did you decide to feel ashamed of yourself? They were instilled. They were put in there. We're not blaming anybody. There's nobody to blame for this. When did you decide? I'll come to that, Paul. When did you decide to not speak your mind? When did you decide not to feel worthy? When did you decide to doubt yourself? You didn't decide any of it. You decided nothing. A baby isn't unconfident about being a baby. It's just a baby. A dog, as long as it's not mistreated, doesn't feel unconfident about being a dog. It's just a dog. A horse is a horse. A flower is a flower. There's no self-doubt there. There's no, I feel unworthy. A baby doesn't come out the womb feeling unworthy. All that comes later. It's all part of the material and the makeup of this being. And it all gets congealed around this me, this I-ness. And it's fucking horrible. It can be misery for some of us. And it's boom. And we've never investigated it. The truth of, what's the truth of this? So that's what all we need to do is actually look at explore and investigate our own experience. Well, good question. Why isn't it taught to children more? The honest answer is, Paul, I haven't got a bloody clue. Maybe we're too busy trying to get them on the path of, you know, a job and everything. Nothing wrong with that, but, you know. We're too busy getting them to create a me, a self. I've suffered, so you're going to suffer as well, you lot. Oh, dear. Anything else before we do a contemplation? Okay, so just sit back, guys. You can, eyes open or closed. So I'd like you to just picture your house. Your house is an object. It has a shape, form, color. It can be observed. It's an object. This house is mine. This house belongs to me. Next, I'd like you to picture your phone, maybe your mobile phone. This phone has a particular size and shape, color. If we picture it in our hand, we can even feel the weight of the phone. This phone is mine. This phone belongs to me. It's an object. It can be observed. Next, I'd like to have a sense of this body. This body has a shape. If we open our eyes, it even has a color. Has a sense of weight. This body is mine. This body belongs to me. Same as the hands. These hands have a shape. The body is an object. The hands are objects. These hands are mine. These hands belong to me. Next, we move closer to home still. How about thoughts? These thoughts, just like the phone and the house and the hands, can be observed. Just think a thought. Maybe thinking a thought. These thoughts can be observed. They have a beginning and an end. They're objects. Do you disappear when you stop thinking? Of course not. These thoughts are mine. These thoughts belong to me. Now let's take our attention to the me to which all these belong. Have a look. Where is it? Actually look in your own experience. And what are you looking for? Is it a miniature you? About an inch high? You're looking in the head? What are you expecting to find? Keep looking. Behind the eyes. What's there? Is that where this sense of me is? Well, have a look. What do you find? And if you find anything, isn't that also an object that you're aware of? Relax with this practice. Don't try too hard. There is thinking. Thinking happens. Just have a look for the thinker. Think a thought, and then have a look for the thinker. Okay, so relax the practice and just sit. Okay. I'll come back to that. So there's just a comment there that everything that can be seen is not you, which is absolutely correct. Because it's an object that comes and goes. Thoughts come and go. If you're your thoughts, which thought are you? And if you're your thoughts, what happens when you're not thinking? Do you disappear? Actually, you feel more alive. When you walk into that forest, or you walk into a cathedral, the mind goes, "Whoom," and it's all. So to find out who we really are, we need to look at what we are really not. And what happens is there's a dawning happens. It dawns on us. It dawns, of course, it dawns on no one. It's just a dawning. Doesn't dawn on me because there isn't a bloody me. There's just a dawning. Somebody asked one famous teacher, he was a great teacher, I thought. He said on about either winning the lottery or becoming enlightened. He says, well, you're probably better off winning the lottery because at least there'll be somebody there to enjoy it. Anything else, guys? So no me, no problems. Exactly. Yay, got it. Yay. Because, see, problems are a problem of relationship. Relation, me to the world, not just to other people, which is a primary relationship, but me to the world. When there's no me, when you see that there is just this, just life living, you can't help but, we have to use words, we have to use the you and that, we have to use those. You just fall in love with the world. That's what the Dalai Lama means when he says, I can't hurt another living being because I hurt myself. And he means it. When you're suffering, and it won't be long, have a look and there'll be a story orbiting around a sense of me. Have a look. And right now, what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to really suffer as much as you can without thinking. Go ahead. Have a good go at it. Without thinking, without going into thought in any way. Go on, try harder. It's impossible, guys. You can't be done. But we've got into the habit of doing that. All suffering is a deeply ingrained habit. As I say, I'm differentiating suffering from pain. It's a story. And it's a story around me. What I like, what I want, what I don't want, what I do like, what I fear, what I hope for. We fluctuate between hope and fear. We look at the future and we're hoping and fearing. See, we live in a conceptual world. We live in our head, which is it's just a conceptual prison. We look at a tree, we don't see a tree, we see the label, a tree. I've seen it before. I see it every day. We should knock it down and build a little Tesco so I can get my milk from there. I don't have to go to the bloody, exaggerate, but you know what I mean. There's just aliveness, exploding every moment into being. Not even every moment, that's not quite right, but and it's called the joy of being. That's why I use the dogs, because we have dogs here, and they're healthy dogs. So there's just a joy to them, and that's our nature. Our nature is one of joy and wonder, but it's covered over by laden over with concepts and beliefs, congealed around this sense of separation, separate self. So in our meditation, I'm going to finish soon, guys. In our meditation, we always come back to hearing, to smelling, to tasting, to feeling, to seeing. That's what meditation, we come back to that. We come back to what is actually happening. And what's actually happening, and the senses are activated. You don't have to try to see. The eyes open of a morning and the world just comes into poof. You awake in the morning and the hearing just happens. The feeling just happens. And so does this belief in me that I've got to navigate my way through this day. On a practical level, of course, we do. Any last comments, guys? Again, I think we've done enough. So I shall see you guys on Thursday. You're welcome. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Surya.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
You for
Thank you.
turning up.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Hurrah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.